Vyasa Media Network.
Usually what I see with these projects is it is generally a one-time project. So even this waste management project that you talked about, maybe the child who's involved in it at that time might be 8 or 9 or 10 or 12, it doesn't matter. But it's more of a one-time thing. And even when we talk about the Environment Day, it's like that one day where the child has sowed the seed. But it is maybe the child becomes conscious for that little while. And for that week or that month, the child might not throw the packet outside of the bus. But what I see usually happening is it is not very sustainable in the long run because children forget about it, and especially children need constant repetition of concepts. So, and again, another hindrance to this is what is happening at home.
Right.
So if they are in the car and, the parents continue throwing packets outside of the car, because that is where it first came from, right? If as from the time they were babies, if they never saw anyone throw packets out of the car and they always saw people carrying packets back home or throwing it in a dustbin, then they would have never learned the concept of throwing a packet outside the car. Because they're just imitating and learning.
Correct.
So again, when we do such things, when we intervene, I believe it is very short-lived in many cases. There might be 1% or 5% of children to whom it, really makes an impact and stays lifelong.
Right.
But otherwise, 95% of the children will just go back to their usual ways or what is being done at home.
Correct.
So what you mentioned that educating the parent, working alongside them, repeating this process over and over again, or repeating the concept in a way of educating children.
Right.
All that is lacking. So schools are doing projects and schools are initiating, but the sustenance of it is not always there.
I think the larger conversation also comes from the expectations of what people expect out of a school.
Right.
Because the end goal, if you see, is at this point of time in our country has to be the board level examinations, which determines which college, how much marks or GPA a child gets. That determines what kind of college the child gets into, and mostly the better colleges, which have better infrastructure, better teachers, they demand better scores. And the parent says, everything is good. I mean, I understand the concept of what you're trying to do at school, but if my child is getting lost in all of this and does not focus on grades, then the ultimate goal of me or the family trying to educate and get the best education for the child is suffering in the long run. So I think this brings us to a very interesting cusp where institutes of higher education need to change their intake policy. It is not just sufficient for a good college to take in the best of students and to graduate them. They have to be open enough to take all sorts of students and say, hey, we are an open enough educational institute to mentor and groom whatever levels you have come from. Right. If you have the correct attitude, if you have learned life skills, if you have great social skills, if you know the world around you, we are willing to teach you and to groom you better. So what is the parameter? What constitutes a good college or a good university has to take a little bit of a rethink, in my opinion.
Vyasa Media Network.